Welcome to Perspectives, the vodcast of the American Mental Health Counselors Association with the National President and Interim CEO/ED, Dr. Beverly Smith. This vodcast will bring to you the perspectives of clinical mental health counseling as it pertains to ethics, public policy and legislation, multiculturalism and social justice, as well as leadership and advocacy. This vodcast will feature experts in the clinical mental health counseling field to enhance the work of clinical professionals and to inform the public. The American Mental Health Counselors Association advocates for over 130,000 licensed clinical mental health counselors in the United States who are licensed to assess, diagnose, and treat mental disorders. We are the only organization working exclusively for clinical mental health counselors. Join the Perspectives for insight from experts on wellness and daily living, current clinical research, integrative healthcare, as well as how to maintain personal, family, and organizational wellness in an anxious and ever-changing world. Let's connect and hear the perspectives.
Hello, I'm Dr. Beverly Smith, President and Interim CEO of the American Mental Health Counselors Association. Today on our podcast, we have with us Laura Peddie-Bravo. She is the current president of the Florida Mental Health Counselors Association. Welcome to our podcast called Perspectives. Please introduce yourself, Laura. Just tell us a little bit more about who you are.
Hi, well, Dr. Smith, thank you so much for inviting me and having me on your podcast. I'm really happy to be here. As you said, my name is Laura Peddie-Bravo. I'm the current president of the Florida Mental Health Counselors Association. In Florida, we're called licensed mental health counselors. So I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I've been licensed since 2001, and I am also a nationally certified counselor, and I'm also a qualified supervisor.
Awesome. I know you are in your first year as presidency. Can you tell us a little bit more about the initiatives that you have during your tenure?
Sure. My big initiative was to increase membership. And I'm very happy to say we already have one new chapter added. We have a new Miami chapter, and we're very excited about that. And we have 3 more chapters possibly being planted as we speak. So that's very exciting to grow the association, bring in more members, and really continue to have a bigger voice to advocate for our profession.
Exactly. Now, you have done outstanding work in increasing your membership and advocacy, as well as with webinars, providing continuing education opportunities for your members. So you have been doing some awesome work, and it shows in the quantitative results, because as I watch your numbers and watch what you all are doing in Florida, I'm amazed at the work that you're doing and the successes that you're having. And as you said, all to elevate the organization and the profession. And so that I am grateful for the work that you're doing, because you are a chapter of the American Mental Health Counselor Association. And so you're representing us well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We're glad to be representing AMHCA well. Now, I must say, we have an amazing administrative team. As FAMHCA has grown, we have been able to add more administrative support, and our administrative team is fantastic. And so I just counted before we came on today that we have 32 on-demand webinars for people to pick and choose from. So certainly somebody could obtain all of their CEUs for licensure and relicensure every biennium just by being a FAMHCA member. So it's very exciting.
That is awesome. And I received the emails of all of your offerings, and I must say you have a robust offering of webinars and opportunities for individuals to get licensed or renew their license, if you will. So thank you for doing that. If you may not know at this point without looking at the data, is there one particular or any particular webinar that has been most popular, or that those have chosen the most?
Well, that's an easy one. So as a lot of us were caught off guard by the No Surprises Act, which was a big surprise to a lot of us, that webinar that we put together with Dr. Aaron Norton, that was the most popular webinar so far of this year.
Awesome. And actually, Dr. Aaron Norton, he was on the podcast. He was promoting a workshop that they're doing tomorrow in collaboration with AMHCA for those who want to become a national certified forensic mental health evaluator. They're doing that tomorrow. But he did a No Surprises Act webinar for AMHCA as well. It was indeed a popular webinar. It's so interesting. The title was No Surprises, and that's the title of the bill and the act and so forth. But however, we seem to have been surprised by the No Surprise Act. So as we move forward, we will continue to provide more updates as we move forward, because I think, the licensed therapists, clinicians kind of felt the brunt or the burden more of that particular legislation. And so it'll be interesting to see the new developments that come forward. So we'll still keep watching out for your listings in your email to see what new webinars that you are providing. I want to go back to the piece about membership, if you will. You mentioned that your membership has increased. Can you share with us just some of the strategies or things that you did to help boost your membership? What did you do that our audience could glean from and take away to increase membership within their states or their chapters?
Sure, absolutely. I'm happy to share that. It's been a multi-pronged approach. As we've already talked about, the webinars that we're offering, both live and on demand, we survey our members in order to find out what topics they're interested in. So we're constantly surveying and asking people what they want. And so most of the webinars that you see on our website on demand, or those emails that you receive about live webinars, those are based on surveys that we've done, and people have graciously responded and said what they want to hear. And so by providing the content that the people want, that's very helpful. We were also pretty visible in the state of Florida on the Counseling Compact. And so it seemed that during that time that we were advocating and pushing for that Counseling Compact to pass, which it did in Florida. We're state number 9. We're very excited about that. That brought more visibility to PHOMCA and more members, PHOMCA and AMHCA. And so that helped as well. And then also the circumstances with the pandemic. One of the pieces that people, according to our surveys anyway, that people were really missing was networking. And so we started these alliance meetings. We call them alliance, and they're just times, there's a topic, but there's times for our members to network with each other, because people have been missing that.
That is absolutely awesome. That is good. And it seems like you say, it's a multifaceted approach. You did multiple things to grow the membership. So that is good. As you begin to look forward, into next year, finishing up this year, what are some things that you would do again? Some things maybe you would not do? Any insight?
Well, when it came to the Counseling Compact, we didn't realize there were other associations working towards that in the state of Florida. And so what I would change is that I would collaborate from the beginning with those other organizations. So that would have been very helpful. We put a lot of time, energy, and monetary resources into passing that. And so,
I understand correctly, PHOMCA, Florida Mental Health Counsel Association, actually filed in regards to the compact. Is that accurate, or?
Somebody else filed it. Okay. I don't want to misspeak here. We went after filing it, and then I believe someone else filed it also. Okay. So I think that's what happened. So right.
There's a lot of support in the profession in Florida to pass the Counseling Compact. So thank you all for your work. And I look forward to seeing that collaboration in Florida with the profession, within the profession. I think it can only enhance the profession as we all collaborate together. So I look forward to hearing great things about the collaboration, and would love to one day have you and the other organization leaders on our broadcast that would be excellent. So we look forward to that. Look forward to that. So as a leader, you share something that maybe you would have done differently as a leader. What is something that you did that was great and you will continue to do it and pass on to other leaders? Hey, this works. Try this. What would that be?
Well, I don't know if anyone remembers Dr. Sanders Burnett's workshop that she offered at the leadership retreat for AMHCA last year when the conference was virtual, but she talked about leadership styles. And I found that so helpful. And I discovered I'm a servant leader. I'm a worker bee. And so somebody was very kind at our conference that we had in person in February. Our administrative team was, they were setting up the tables for the awards luncheon, and they needed more help. And so I just picked up some leaflets or whatever, and I just started putting them on the table. And then someone, weeks after the conference, they were like, well, I saw you doing that. And then I saw, well, you're the president. Why are you doing that? And so that impressed this person. And so that really touched me. But that's my leadership style. I'm going to get in there and pitch in. I'm going to work alongside our administrative team. I'm not going to just leave it all to them. And so I think that's been effective. And maybe not everyone cares for my leadership style. And I know none of us 100%,
no one, you would never have 100% of the people who will.
Right.
The only thing you can do is do the best that you can in serving and leading and move the needle forward, move the organization forward with integrity and as best as you can. And
right.
That's all you can do,
Right.
Also, and espouse the theme of servanthood leadership. I do believe in what I expect others to do, what I expect staff to do is something that it should be expected of me. It doesn't mean we cross boundaries, but it does mean we lend our voice, our hand, our energy, our support to collectively moving the organization forward and modeling servanthood leadership. And I think that's important. I never want to be leading by just directing, leading by just asking everyone else to do, leading by everyone else have hands on the deck doing the work, but yet they don't see me with my hands on the deck doing the work. That's not my leadership style. And so I think it is good that we lead by example. We lead by example, but I want to ask you, as you lead by example, is there something that kind of guided you into that space of leading by example, or is it just something you've always embraced?
I think I probably always embraced it, but having been president of my local chapter, so our AMHCA chapter in Central Florida, I did 2 terms as president there, and I had served on the board prior to that many years. In just moving from a very tiny chapter to a larger chapter, we needed people to pitch in. We needed people to serve. If someone was going to be a board member and not, do the groundwork, that wasn't going to work. We had to have people literally doing the nitty bitty little tasks because there was no administrative team or person. So it was a working board. And so I think that's where I got my training on being a servant leader, is starting off in a small chapter that grew.
Yeah, and I understand that, similar with the role that I have as president and interim CEO, wearing 2 hats. You have to be a servant leader. You have to get in and be with and among those who are doing the work and help to do the work, particularly when you're a smaller organization or a smaller size staff. We don't have a staff of 60 and 50 and 30 people. We have a smaller staff. And so with that being said, I had to, as others have had to as president, serve as president, but also be just a servanthood leader all around and have a working board. So that has been important for me. It sounds like it's important for you, and it has been for many others. And so hopefully we'll continue to see servanthood leadership within the entire profession of counseling. Now, we've talked about kind of what your successes as president and things of that nature. Want to hear just a little bit more about Laura, the person, So we talked about Laura, the professional, that intersectionality from personal to profession. Can you share with us what got you into the counseling profession?
Sure. It's kind of funny. I started off college as an art major, and just I was fulfilling my AA requirements. And I took a psychology class, and I really liked it. And then I took another one, and another one, and another one, until I finally changed my major to clinical psychology. And then after I graduated, and while I was accruing, experience, you need to apply for graduate school, right? You need experience related in the field. Sorry, stumbling over my words there. And so while I was accruing that experience in the field, I found out about the mental health counseling program at the University of Central Florida, and I looked into it, and I was like, wow, this is the curriculum I want. And so I went for that, and I got accepted, and my program was fantastic. And yeah, it was great. And it got me to the place I wanted to be, doing what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. And it was just perfect.
Good. And you said something important. You said the curriculum was what you were looking for. I think that's important because as I was vetting out programs and curriculum for master's, and particularly for my PhD programs, I shopped around a lot for that. I came to a place of you need to choose a curriculum that meets your needs, that's offering the courses in the areas in which you have an interest in, that you want to be an expert in. And so it's important for our emerging professionals and graduate students to know that when you are looking for programs, make sure you look at the curriculum, make sure that they are offering classes that you want to take, that you have an interest in. And that is important. Did you have any influencers, any mentors that helped along the way just to help you emerge as a professional?
Oh, absolutely. So the person that told me about the program that I had never heard of before, quite frankly, was my own therapist, Dr. Pete Fisher at UCF. And he's since passed away, but so many people, he touched so many people. So, there's a building dedicated to him on campus. He was just an amazing man, amazing therapist. And he was my first mentor.
Okay.
And then as I went through the program, of course, meeting more mentors. And then I ended up doing my pre and postmaster's experience at the University of Central Florida's Counseling Center. And then there I encountered even more mentors. And so I was just so privileged to have so many great mentors guiding me, before, during, and after the program.
Awesome. I had great mentors too. And so if you could reflect on your mentors, what messages could you think of the top 1, 2, or 3 from all your mentors? What would the message be, the resounding message? What did you learn from them? What did they impart into you, if you can recall?
Oh, absolutely. The number one thing is when I obviously made a mistake. They weren't like, oh, Laura, that was terrible. No, they were very understanding. They're like, you're learning. They're very supportive, empathetic, they weren't my counselors, but they were mentors and guided me. And they never came down hard on me for making a mistake. They encouraged me, like, you're learning, it's okay.
And that's what mentors do. They provide a safe landing place, but is that safe landing place is also a launching pad. And that's the good thing about mentorship. It provides safe space for you to snug in, and it also opens the door so you can spread your wings and just fly and emerge as a professional. And so that's good. And one of the things I learned with mentorship, they help us to kind of understand what we're doing and giving professionally, but they also help us look inwardly and to look at, okay, am I taking care of myself? And they provide all of those reminders. When we talk about self-care, I know that sometimes can be a buzzword today, but it should be more than just a buzzword. But we talk about self-care. What advice would you give to an emerging professional or a clinical therapist in regards to self-care, or even if it was the general public? What would you say in the midst of an anxious world that we have been living in, COVID-19 and other challenges, mass shooting, violence, things of that nature? What would you say in regards to self-care? What would you share? What advice would you give?
Oh, sure. I know so many of our continuing education covers the topic of self-care. And I've got to think that's because, well, we're sometimes not very good at it. And I'm personally wellness oriented. I was going through my master's program in the 90s when wellness really took off. And I actually did work in the campus wellness center as one of the things I did while I was earning my degree. And so I'm wellness oriented overall, looking at mind, body, and spirit. And so it's important for me and my own wellness to keep those things in balance. And so, for example, a large part of my own wellness is physical activity. If I'm not moving around, I'm just aware of the negative impact that has on me mentally and physically. And so I like to do things, I like to exercise outside or do movement outside if one doesn't like the word exercise. So I'm riding a bike, I'm going for walks, I'm swimming, I'm going kayaking. I like to be outside. Getting sunlight is very important, 15 minutes a day. So many people I work with are vitamin D deficient. And I myself during the pandemic became vitamin D deficient. And I couldn't understand that because I was outside a lot. So anyway, just that balance of getting what we need. It's challenging. When you have a full caseload, it's not always conducive. Like, okay, I don't have time to get 15 minutes of sunshine today, or gosh, I have an urgent client need. I there goes my exercise window. But I just encourage people and myself to just do what we can. Do what we can. If all I have is 15 minutes to walk around, hey, that's better than nothing. It doesn't have to be an hour. It doesn't have to be going to a gym. It doesn't have to be getting sweaty. It's just movement. Mm-hmm. And so that helps me a lot. I'll get ideas when I'm moving around.
So do I. I appreciate that. So wellness is one of your areas of expertise. Is there other areas, or do you mainly just work from that particular space of wellness?
Well, of course, I'm cognitive behavioral.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay. Now, I want to ask another question about wellness. Do you recommend that individuals or organizations incorporate wellness into everything that they do? Do you recommend clinicians incorporate wellness as part of or automatic part of a treatment plan?
Oh, I would absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think it has benefits. As you were talking, the movement helps. And basically, you're just talking about the mind-body connection and making sure we understand that there's truly a connection, and we can't kind of separate. We can't separate those. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm glad you have the area of wellness as your expertise, as your area. Is there anything that you would like to share with the audience? Any final thoughts, words, or anything you would like to share with our audience?
Sure. In preparing for our conversation, one of the topics that's important to FAMHCA and AMHCA as well, but legislative. And I will just share that legislative is a part of our profession that I have always found very challenging, in that our colleagues are so busy. They're seeing their clients, they're running their businesses or working in their agencies, and they get home and want to spend time with their families. And so legislative isn't normally the first thing that comes to mind. And so I would encourage the listeners that legislative is important. And just a quick example, if I may, in Florida, and this was many years ago, so this was right before I became licensed, there was another group pursuing legislation at the state level that would prevent us from doing basic testing, like giving a Myers-Briggs type indicator, which we are more than qualified to do. And thankfully, the state organization was able to block that. But if they hadn't been paying attention, if they weren't aware of what's going on at the state level, there's lots of things like that are going on all the time. And so it's just very important for all of us to keep aware of the legislative issues, and especially currently the national issue of Medicare legislation. We have been working on that for many, many years. I think since I was a student in the 90s in graduate school. And so I really hope this is the year that we get that. So paying attention to legislative, while, maybe some people find that boring or not interesting, it's very important. And I would just encourage everyone to stay up on that as best they can.
And I would agree. I think many states have various pieces of legislation that they're advocating for. I think in New York, if I recall correctly, they will hopefully be receiving legal rights to, assess, diagnose, and to treat. So I know they were fighting for that. And so other states are fighting for similar as well. And so you're right, we have to be focused, have a strategy to advance the profession. We have been trained to do the work that we were trained to do. And so to practice within our scope of assessing, diagnosing, and treating is just that, practicing within our scope. And we've been trained to do that. So thank you for highlighting that and mentioning that, because that's a message that we're still trying to bring more awareness to, trying to push in certain places. Certain states are on the way with that and have passed the appropriate legislation and laws so that we can appropriately serve and work for the community. And this is a really important season and time to mention this and to elevate that conversation, because we're in a mental health crisis. And if various professions such as LPCs and LMHCs are authorized, as well as marriage and family therapists, if they are giving authorization to be authorized providers, for example, for Medicare, and then we can help alleviate the mental health shortage. We can help address the mental health crisis. We can help address the opioid crisis that we're in. And just to help, because we're still in a COVID-19 pandemic. And so our profession is needed, counselors are needed, licensed counselors are needed. And it's important that we, do say licensed counselors, licensed therapists, licensed mental health counselor, licensed marriage and family therapist. It's important that we say that, because sometimes we utilize the word counselor very loosely and we water down all the work, we water down the message and so forth that goes with becoming licensed. So I'm glad even you said licensed mental health counselors, licensed professional counselors. So again, thank you for being on Perspective. It was a delight to have you as a guest today. We will welcome you back again. We want to hear more about what you're doing during your tenure and how Florida is advancing the counseling profession. So thank you again, Ms. Laura Peddie-Bravo, current president of the Florida Mental Health Counselors Association. I'm Dr. Beverly Smith, president, interim CEO of the American Mental Health Counselors Association. Thank you for listening and tuning in to our podcast called Perspectives.
Thank you for joining the American Mental Health Counselors Association podcast with President and Interim CEO/ED, Dr. Beverly Smith. We hope you will join us for the next episode to connect and hear the perspectives from experts and the organization that exclusively represent clinical mental health counselors. Be well.